Okay, hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm just going to do the same thing that I've been doing in the past, I think about almost a week now, possibly a little bit longer, and just going over some of these numbers that I've been capturing on my semi-out-of-control spreadsheet. So it's mainly, and if you haven't seen this before, just to recap, it's mainly about capturing the trends, the percentage growth, whether that growth is going up or down. Hasn't really gone down that much, as you no doubt know, but let's just look at the raw numbers so we can see what's going on, okay? But yeah, I'm not really sure about. It's important that I say take this with a grain of salt, because although a lot of these numbers are coming from WHO data and Johns Hopkins University, which is closely in consulting with, you know, the WHO about the actual reporting, they could be underreported or misreported by now, but that could be a small percent. I'm just allow for maybe a 1 or 2% difference between results sometimes, and yeah. So looking at the numbers today, unfortunately still going up. As you can see, the percentage is still going up for confirmed growth. We're going up to 12.6% again, so that's actually the highest. Oh wow, okay, so this has actually risen recently, so I haven't looked at this in a while. Yeah, so I think this might be the highest confirmed growth. Wait, I thought there was one figure for 40%. No, yeah, so it's the highest confirmed growth that we've had all month then, 12.63%. Now, as I've touched on before, confirmed cases increase doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing, because there are still one of two outcomes. People that have confirmed cases either have one or two outcomes. They either die or they recover and they get better. So just because there are a lot of people with the virus doesn't mean they are going to end up as a fatality. But at the moment, and we also don't know how many people have been tested as well. So that's a stat that I'd appreciate having provided from Johns Hopkins, but at the moment they don't provide that as far as I know. So if we're looking at, and I need this beer because this is pretty kind of morbid stuff that I'm looking at and going over it every night, and no doubt a lot of people are going over it too on the news, but yeah, this is another bad figure. It's a record number of deaths today. After yesterday, we actually decreased a little bit. Went about almost 50, around about 50 deaths lower than the previous day. And yeah, that's up about 2801. And yeah, that's an increase of 13.1%. So the total deaths at this time is 24,181. Sorry. And the number of recovered, though, is steadily going up, but not fast enough, because that's what I'm seeing with this recovered death rate, which is the comparison that I'm recording with the number of deaths versus the number of recovered, which I find is more of a meaningful stat than what WHO likes to document a lot of the time, and that they're just comparing deaths to confirmed. Now, as I explained on Reddit in a thread the other day, is that one of the reasons why I like to use the recovered death rate is because one of the reasons why it's more accurate is because you're comparing two periods of the current time rather than a period of the previous time versus period of the current time. So if we're taking like the number of confirmed cases today, that's not really going to apply until, say, however many days later that somebody has resulted in being either recovered or has died, right? And so right now we can assume that number of days is 14 days. So really that's comparing two different time periods. So this is why I like to look. I think it's more meaningful. A lot of people seem that also say that it's more meaningful to look at the number of recovered, but because the government doesn't really want you to panic, a lot of times they're trying to suppress this, and they're actually trying to actively well, I don't know this for sure, but Johns Hopkins is trying to actually have announced that they're not going to be providing this recovered number anymore, which I've mentioned the past couple of nights, but it's worth mentioning again, just in case they go through with it, and then I no longer have this or this stat next month, and yeah, and people are wondering why. So that's the reason why. So this is the global. This is another section I've been going over recently. This is global excluding China. You can see the same kind of trend happening, even though the percentage is a little bit lower, but it has been steadily going up the last 4 days at least. But because the confirmed cases needed to catch up, then it's not exactly seeing the exact trend of the global cases. And one of the reasons why this is so low earlier this month, so China is definitely skewing the data here, is because they made up the majority of confirmed cases, and their confirmed cases also went drastically down pretty much after 1 day or something. Well, just like late February, pretty much they almost had like no confirmed cases every day and no deaths every day. So a lot of this went down early in the month for basically that reason. And probably this is skewing this here, which is giving a false impression that's going up more rapidly than what it is. But really, it's actually just like probably more closer to this for the rest of the world, which is, staying around about the mid-teens most of the time, and just like hovering the late teens some of the time. So although it's not as bad in this section as the global stats if you include China, it's still steadily going up, at least in the last 4 days anyway. So it doesn't change the fact that the confirmed increase is 59,000 today, and 59,937 if you include China, 59,816 if you don't. And number of deaths is pretty much the same, because China isn't really part of the stats anymore, because they've either realistically taken it to zero now, or almost zero, or they're just completely covering up their numbers. One of the two options, but I'm not about discussing that. I'm just about sort of trying to analyze this data and leave the discussion up to other times. Reddit is a pretty big place where that kind of discussion is going on, I think. And I'll show you some of those threads. Actually, I should probably go through it now. If you want, well, I'm talking to you as if you're right there, but of course you're not right there because this isn't live. So I'm just assuming that if you want, and really I'm just talking to myself. So anyway, if you want, and I'll just look at Spain. Because Spain, Italy, biggest numbers. We can also look at the US as well, because the US has just overtaken China with the most number of confirmed cases. But hey, it's a big country, so it's to be expected. I think, yeah, okay. So confirmed growth for Spain. Where is it? Yeah, okay, this is Spain. Oh, maybe it was Italy that they took over. I don't know. We'll get to another. I think one of those is makes the headline that I was looking at on Reddit. So I'll get to that later. Anyway, Spain has had an increase of about, or just a little bit less than yesterday, or probably significantly less, but they had a huge increase yesterday at 24% anyway. I mean, they went up by almost 10,000 confirmed cases. The death rate, I mean, the number of deaths have actually gone down, and the death rate has gone down with it. Their recovered death rate is consistently between the mid-30s to low 40s, so I wouldn't say there's a massive decline there, but hey, it's kind of hovering around that number, around 40%. Today it's at 38.4%, but their WHO death rate is going up 7%, and that's the one that, of course, compares the number of deaths to the number of confirmed cases. Go to Italy. So this is still the largest number of confirmed cases and deaths in Europe. 80,589, increase of 6,203 today, and the deaths increased. Now, I'm not sure why people claimed that Italy was going down before, because I mean, I just saw 3 days in a row where it went down. That's not enough to confirm a trend. I mean, I'd wait for at least 5 days minimum, just to have a small win, but yeah, it's not really going down. It's probably staying about the same, like it's hovering between around about between that 600 to 800 point range. It's not going up in terms of range, and the actual death growth is going down, so that's good news. Maybe they were talking about that, or maybe that was just the media. I'm just giving the media too much credit and they were just being delusional. But the recovered death rate is still quite high, 44.2%. And you can actually get more meaning out of this rate. Like the higher the higher the number of deaths and confirmed cases and recovered, obviously, okay, the higher all these 3 data points a country has, the higher number, the more meaning you can get out of this rate. So I would sort of be taking a grain of salt with the countries that are maybe at 44% recovered rate, but their number of recovered is like 100 and their number of deaths is 10 or something. But, you know, for Italy, they've have like thousands of recovered and thousands of deaths. So this is quite, and pretty close to 10,000 for each. So this is quite significant now and meaningful. And the WHO death rate is also going up 9.3%. Now, as I also mentioned on Reddit, I should probably bring up that thread tomorrow maybe, but I forgot again tonight, but I drew a little bad markdown style diagram. But basically it shows that 2 kind of like conversion time periods that I was talking about and why it's important to look at the recovered death rate. But I also mentioned in there that as time goes on and the number of so the virus tapers, right? So the number of confirmed cases will come down gradually or decrease anyway. And in that time, but the number of deaths will probably just like still rise as they kind of catch up. So you would expect as the virus tapers off to still see this WHO death rate increase, but see this recovered death rate decrease until both probably kind of almost meet up together, but they probably won't anyway because of this always going to be discrepancies in the data. When this virus, even if it comes to an end, there's still going to be, you know, the odd loss of bookkeeping and stuff. But anyway, so I'm talking for a lot longer than I should be anyway. Yeah, we're about 12 minutes in. And as you know, this isn't going to be as slick as if you're kind of watching me before this, I started to get into this coronavirus data, you know that I normally talk about startups and try to give an inside look into running my business. But yeah, those vlogs are usually a lot more polished. I usually just edit them, make them more fun. Obviously, this isn't really has a fun tone. And it's not really going to be an edit. It's kind of like a bad live show where I'm just going to ramble on for a long time. And yeah, that's bad live show that isn't live. So really, I should be editing it because this isn't actually live. But I usually pump it out with minimal editing. So I just make sure the screenshot is viewable, and then I kind of just push it to YouTube. So what am I doing here? So I'm trying to find the US, and because the UK is so close, we could probably take a look at that as well. Yeah, so the US took over China. Italy today. I think they might have taken over China as well. But basically, I think they're the highest. People are sarcastically saying, well, the US has to be number one of everything. So that's true. They actually got the highest number of confirmed out of any country now. So the confirmed cases, but once again, might be because there's more testing, and obviously there's a huge population, 350 million people in the US. So yeah, it's 18,000, an increase of 18,000 confirmed cases today. So the percentage is up a little bit, but it's still, so it's at 27.45. So that's kind of, I wouldn't say impressive, because sometimes I look at this and I think, in terms of number of tests being done, but I got to remind myself, no, it's not number of tests, it's number of confirmed cases. And impressive isn't really a word I'd use to describe anyone that's been declared positive for the virus. So the number of deaths are up just slightly, so the percentage has just gone down slightly, but still, given what I mentioned with Italy before, I now apply it to the US. I wouldn't think there's enough data here to actually get anything meaningful from this percentage range, and the same for the recovered. So yeah, this is still less than 1,000, and as you can see, because of that, the recovered death rate is I better not do that. The recovered death rate is a little bit too high, and the WHO death rate is a little bit too low. So let's just go. I think sorry UK, maybe we can go over you tomorrow. But from what I saw, there hasn't been a lot of change there anyway. Okay, so I'm on the index page. Sorry about this. This is the live, not live aspect I'm talking about, a little disorganized. Okay, so these are threads in Reddit that caught my attention, and then after this, I'll go to a few things on Twitter. So this is the main thing, that I'm just bringing your attention to some things that you might have missed if you're doing other things, if you have to work maybe, but, and then just gonna do some of the reading for you, just to, so you can sit up on the couch and actually hear the sound of my voice instead of doing any of the reading effort yourself. So anyway, this caught my attention. Coronavirus, on the coronavirus FOS sub, hard evidence of drastic undercounting of victims. Over 6,000 urns of ashes have been given to family members from just one of Wuhan's 8 funeral homes, but Wuhan's official death toll was only 2531 as of midnight. So that's kind of disturbing. If we use that, I mean, that's almost like 250% more, I guess. So, yeah, or I mean, just a little bit less than that. So, if we apply that to whole of China's numbers, so what is it? The number of deaths they had, I think, was 80,000. Let's go to that again. I don't know. Oh, yeah. So they confirmed cases 81,000. Number of deaths was 3,000. So I mean, like, if you apply 250% to that, that's just going to be about 7,500, I think, around about that. But who knows? It might even be a lot more than that. So, I guess that math is a little bit useless, because this is just reading this headline again. Actually, 6,000 urns of ashes being given to families, and this is just one of Wuhan's 8 funeral homes. So Wuhan's official in the whole region. Okay, so it'll be way more than 250% then, because this is just one out of 8. Anyway, so this is going to be a little bit of a theme tonight then, because I think a lot of people are picking up on trying to ask questions about the reliability of China's data. So this is something I see. So occasionally, I used to go to the coronavirus subreddit a lot, but I've been avoiding going there a lot because I think it's been, a lot of people have bled over from politics, which is this really, fanatical place. And one of the attractions of coronavirus, at least in late January and early February, was that they were really vigilant on, this is their set of rules here, and they were really vigilant on avoid politics. But I think actually it's not that they don't try to do this anymore, it's just that they're getting overwhelmed now. But this thing here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This has got nothing to do with the world, any kind of world trends, data, science behind coronavirus, nothing. So yeah, it's basically just a politician puff piece about just some positive words that a politician says. It's not even about any action they've done. So this is kind of, I'm highlighting this because, I don't think this should be a part of this subreddit. And I'm not sure if the mods are getting overwhelmed here, but this kind of stuff is garbage. It serves no purpose. So this is this is something I saw on CB News, so I guess, but this is going to be useless because I haven't set up sound on my laptop here. Basically, he just sort of looks at Dr. Deborah Birx. She's talking about having a fever on the weekend, and he just kind of walks away, and it's kind of a little funny. But I think he just didn't do it seriously. I think he did it as a joke, I think. This is a little meme that was posted on Wuhan flu. China has, so it's still the same theme as what we saw back here in this. So China has 0 new coronavirus cases, and somebody says, but Taiwan and Hong Kong do. So you admit now that they are not part of China, and that just makes his mind blown. Okay, so on Twitter, this is a little funny, it just got my attention, a little funny meme by the dogs. Operation COVID-19 worked. Why humans are now staying home with us. And then the cat says, why was my department not consulted about this? Cats are the introverts. They just they cheer for when you go away to work. Dogs are the extroverts. They just wait and come home. Oh yeah, so this one, not sure who this is. Just some startup guy, I think. But anyway, it's made its way into my feed, and I'm pretty sure I highlighted this because, not to dump on any, like, this is the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, and not to dump on anyone in particular, but just to highlight that everybody was repeating this message. It wasn't just Trump or someone, one or two people that was saying this, that was saying that it's a hoax or it's no big deal. I remember because that was actually a real time of worry for me, and I feel less worried now, partly because the whole world is taking this seriously right now. But I was panicking a lot in late November and early February when I felt like I was going crazy and looking at the data, and nobody else was saying the same thing I was. And I was like, why isn't anyone paying attention to this? But this is a good example about how they were playing this down. So this is from... Oh yeah, so the mayor was encouraging New Yorkers to go out and live your lives because the thing was going on in Wuhan at the time, but he's saying it's no big deal. And then even like saying today our city is celebrating Lunar New Year parade in Chinatown. Now this is an interesting time because I had my parents-in-law were in Hong Kong at the time of the Chinese New Year, and they had to stay there for just, I think, quarantine themselves for like about 3 weeks before they could finally fly out back to Canada. And yeah, it's like I mean they were in good spirits, but they knew how serious it was. But it's funny how on the other side of the world it was just business as usual. Hey, there's a festival, and go out and just do your New York thing. Yeah, so it really wasn't. Oh yeah, and this is the clincher. Experts ponder causes of New York's breathtaking outbreak. Well, I mean, partly because they played it down, but also partly because of the population density. So it's not just one thing. This is on the stock market today. It wouldn't be an update if I just didn't give a little bit of a stock market take. So yeah, it was actually the jobless claims were reported today, and it was the largest jobless claims by about 400%. I think I heard on Bloomberg that it was the last highest jobless claims was from the 80s, and yeah, that was 400% less than today. So, but the stock market continued to go up. So, I just think it's a bull trap. Don't invest. If you bought today, sell. It's people are just just almost kicked over the microphone again. But yeah, big money's trying to play you, and it's going to go down next week or maybe even the week after. But it's going to hover. My guess is, and I'm not a qualified financial guru or anything, and I wouldn't even want to try and come off as a guru if I call myself a guru. I think that's a red flag. But yeah, I'm an occasional trader / investor, just as a side project, and yeah, so I've taken an interest in it I've been active in it for many years now. And where was it going with this? I don't know. So anyway, and this is the stat about the US has overtaken Italy in the number of confirmed coronavirus cases. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and I hope you're not getting too down about it. I would, even though the deaths are creeping up, there's still not a lot of stories about people being affected by it. And I would hope that that the news starts to dig more into who these people were, or who these people are that has passed away. Because I think we should put, personalities and names to these people who are dying. Yeah, because otherwise it's easy just to look at these numbers and just think they're just numbers, but they're not. So, but yeah, stay safe and locked up. I went to the park today and there was a lot of people running around. I just went through there just with my dog. I went through the middle and everyone was just walking around the same trail. It was crazy. But yeah, then I ran home, walked home, gargled with salt water and mopped the floors. And yeah, it's just like people, they would walk around people sometimes and try and maintain safe distancing, but yeah, I think it's still safest just to bundle up with the rug and find a good Netflix series to watch and just yeah, just lock into the couch, right? Okay, so see you next time, and sorry this was a bit long tonight, but yeah, I'll be back with another update tomorrow. Okay, bye.